I want to thank Kristian Mercado, director of If You Were the Last, for coming on the show. So exciting.
Oh, thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, we are at South by Southwest this week. We were actually down there as well, but I'm glad we're able to get you on and do this. So I got to have a sneak peek on this thing, and oh my God, this
Ha!
is so charming. I love it.
Oh, thanks, man. That means a lot. I love that. That's a great word for it. Charming.
It really is. So what I found fascinating is and I don't want to do a bunch of spoilers, but
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
there's a setup in the beginning where they're just talking about a movie that everybody's seen, and then we pan out to reveal where they are. And I was like, "Oh wow, I've never seen a film do it that way before in almost this hyper type of reality."
Yeah, yeah,
And
definitely.
I wanted to ask you, was that initially in the script, this kind of hyper reality take, or is this kind of a vision that you're bringing to the
Mm.
film itself?
I think that when you read the script, it had a warmth to it always. There was something about it that was always tender. But there's a line in the script very early on that
Yeah.
says, "This isn't like space as we've seen it. It's tin foil, and it's like there's like a scrappiness that they describe where it's like this is a full on fantasy."
I love it.
And I fell in love with that line in the beginning of the script, and it sets you up for like looking at the world from a different prism. Now, it's probably like easy to write that, but then building the aesthetic
Oh
of
my
what it
gosh.
is. And so I had to kind of come up with like a mix of techniques, and I based it really mostly on emotions. Like I was like,
Yeah.
how do you capture the emotion of these characters into an aesthetic?
Yeah.
And that was kind of like how I approached it. I was like, oh, like this feels tender, this feels soft, this feels
It does.
fragile.
It's got this for people that understand. So they're in outer space, and this the planets are paper mache. There's cardboard. The space shuttle itself has this almost childlike simplicity to it
I love that.
that's innocent, right? There's like an
Yeah,
innocence to it, and I think that really reflects the fantasy aspect that you're going for. You're
yeah.
nailing it. On top of, I mean, now you're talking to a Generation Xer over here. On top
Oh
of
yeah.
the a ton of 80s references
Yeah,
that
tons.
are hidden in there from what
Yeah.
look like the old Atari console they were using to play
Yeah.
their movies. Yeah, you're not
Yeah.
getting it past me, dude.
I love it. I love
So
that.
I just
That's for you.
yeah. Oh, it's fantastic. And you've got Anthony Mackie and Zoe Chao killing every scene they're in. Absolutely incredible.
They're great performers. They were like really such a joy to work with, but like so committed to the roles and really understood the vision behind it. They really understood. It was almost like theater. Like I described the process a lot. Like we were doing like almost like a play. Like
Yeah.
I happened to just be recording. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
my favorite director, or at least one of my favorites, is Sidney Lumet, and he was like alive during that transition from theater to film. Going from like directing theater to directing film. And so his approach, I always looked at him as like a cinematic dad, sort of, where
Yeah.
I would read up on how he would approach like film and filmmaking and performance. And he brought a lot of things from theater into film, because that was where he came from. And I
Yeah.
mean, in essence, that is kind of like where filmmaking kind of comes from too,
Yeah.
anyway, in some ways.
Absolutely.
So it was cool to have this purist sort of like energy of two theater actors, kind of like, and we're in a funky box, and it has this kind of energy of like, hey, we're just like, this is very let's get into this performance and like find the real moment here, and what is the emotion and riding that emotion.
I mean, you've got such a small cast here, and being able to pull that out, it's really easy for a film to go south with a small cast. So it
Yeah,
really shows how great the script is and how great your vision is. Do you
Thank you.
feel like, because you've got a history of directing music videos and you've done some stage stuff, and those are all can be really intimate processes. Do you feel that was, like, perfectly catered for you taking on this challenge?
Oh, definitely. I think like I've always like a lot of my work, even when it's like music videos or um like shorts or the work that or especially in stand-up comedy,
Yeah,
especially that work is super intimate because like with stand-up comedy, someone's putting all of themselves on stage, you know?
yeah,
There's no like there's like the distinction between who they are and who they're not. You know, in
yeah,
life it's like so thin when you're like in stand up, like it's so thin.
yeah,
Um, and I don't know, like I've always felt like a lot of obligation when I film comedians, like to portray them in a way that's like truthful to their words. And I think like with filmmaking, I really like Sandy Meisner a lot. Like Sandy Meisner, you
yeah,
know, who I think famously said acting is finding a truth in a lie, you know?
right. Yeah, I like
'Cause,
that.
you know, because there's the artifice of a performance, you know, like it's like you're kind of it's make believe, you're making it up, right?
Yeah,
And I look at filmmaking that way too, like where it's all make believe, we're just making it. But within the make believe of it all, there's some kind of kernel or center point of truth in there, and
yeah.
that's what really you need. So I think like we try to find truth in the performance in terms of like what does it really feel to be in love or what's friendship really about, and I think it comes
Oh
out.
my gosh. I mean, it's so you never see a film where the relationship I mean, it looked like the way a relationship should be, and I mean, not just a relationship as in lovers, but I mean a relationship as friends. Like, there's mutual respect between both of those people. He
Yeah,
respects what she says, she respects him, they respect each other's minds, they respect each other's passions. There and through all of this, there is just this subtle debate on what they should do with their relationship, stay friends, be more, and that's the tension. Usually when you get into situations like these with a small cast and almost contained, they're always trying to push up the thriller aspect, or they're arguing or they hate each other. But
yeah,
to make two people that get along and love each other, and it's clear from the start, and to make that interesting and to lose the
mm,
audience into that is masterwork stuff. And so to sit there through that is like he's not using any cheap tricks to keep me into this. It's really just character base, and then the fact that you use the actual set as a character is another brilliant way to do it. So I
thank
just
you.
it's a fantastic film.
Oh, I feel really seen. You like see it. Like, yeah, the set is a character in itself too. Yeah, like it's definitely like there's something reflected in that set that's like happening with them as well. Like, and I think like I try to make it so that the film there's every aspect of this film is in service of us understanding where they are emotionally at any
Yeah.
point in that film. Like where are those two characters, you know? And that was always the top of mind question when I was making the film, like where are they? Like, you know, as friends, as anything that's happening with them, like
Yeah.
where are they? And I think, yeah. So that was really pushing that along all the time. And I think all the pieces of the film sort of lock in for that, you know?
Was there ever a moment when you were going through the process with the cast or
Mhm.
and you kind of hit a wall and you're like, "Okay, I'm not sure what we need to do." Any moments where you had to, like, overcome that?
That's a good question. Hitting a wall. I think the hardest thing it wasn't I think like me, Zoe and Anthony all gelled a lot. So
Yeah,
always like it felt like we were always on the same
that's
page, you
awesome.
know? So there was like kind of like a synchronicity with all
Yeah,
of us, and it was a really safe space kind of set where like vulnerability was encouraged and
wow.
welcomed, and it wasn't like they could never tell me how they were feeling about something, and then And I think a lot of times when we would do stuff, like have a scene, if we filmed it and we felt like it wasn't hitting right, we would
Hmm.
just tweak it, and it would be like a very open conversation about why we were tweaking it, or we were like always focused on like finding the characters to say the thing. Like I would sometimes tweak lines randomly on set,
Hmm.
just evoke where they're at more.
Yeah.
Like, sometimes I'd be like, "Oh, you should probably say something closer to, like, your state of mind or
Yeah.
presence or being," and then we would tweak it, or sometimes the flow of words. So I never hit a wall there,
Oh,
but
that's great.
I think, like, from a production standpoint, it was such an ambitious undertaking to create that world that was, I won't say I hit a wall, but, like, I think I had, like, a really big appetite visually, like, I was like, and that was, like, a really difficult thing to accomplish, and I could tell sometimes, like, I was like, "Man, that was probably the hardest part of getting
It
across."
works, man. It works. So I think all of that works. And I have to tell you, as a screenwriter myself, and being and having been on set and seeing actors come up to me and director come up to me and say, "Look, we had to change a couple of lines. Are you okay with that?" I'm like, "Dude, do it. Make it work." You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Like, but I know there are writers out there who are just like, "Oh, you have to say the exact line," and it's like when you're on set and
it
you have
changes. Yeah,
someone awesome out there reading your lines and a director interpreting the motivation there, let him do it. I mean, that's
yeah, yeah.
it's out of your hands now. Is there anything before we go, Christian? Is there anything I should have asked you that I didn't?
Oh, wow, that's a great question. I think, I guess, like, what do I want audiences to walk away with from the
Sure,
film?
let's hear it.
I feel like I want this film to be for people to kind of to believe in love again, I guess, maybe?
Oh my god, I was just thinking, like, if you've ever loved anyone, you should watch this movie.
I want people to share it with people they love. I want them
Yeah,
to take, like, a first date or somebody who they've been dating from, like, I don't know, like, a year or something, and
yeah.
you're like, or somebody you're about to propose to. Like, I want there to be that feeling, like, this becomes, like, one of my favorite movies is Say Anything. Like, I love that
Oh,
movie,
that's great.
and anytime I watch Say Anything, I can watch it anytime, really, and,
Yeah.
it's full of love and joy, and it's tender, and it's, like, sweet, and, I love that era of filmmaking too, and
We have
yeah,
lost a little bit of that, haven't we?
yeah, the world
We
got really
really have.
cynical. It got
Yeah.
cynical, and I feel like I don't want to live, I mean, I am living in a cynical world, but do I have to contribute to it,
Yeah.
I have to keep adding to that cynicalness. Like, I rather make I like the feeling that this film makes you kind of believe a little bit in something,
Yeah. I
I
agree.
hope.
I
Oh,
I I think we need more stuff like this out there, and I think we're gonna start seeing it. I think people are starting to really try to find the light,
yeah,
because we've been in the dark for so long. So I'm really
totally.
glad to see this is coming out there and inspiring people. And listen, if you've been married for 50 years and you're old and cranky and
Go
you're
see the
still
film.
with each other, still go see this film.
Go see the film. Go see the film. I want that, couple that's been together for 30, 50 years to
Yeah.
watch it.
There's something about an old couple holding hands in public that gets me every time.
Yeah. Ah, it would be
It,
so nice.
it's called If You Were the Last. It stars Anthony Mackie and Zoe Chao, directed by Kristian Mercado and Angela Barassa. Do we know when it comes out?
Um, no, I don't have a release date or any of
Okay.
that, but
We're gonna
yeah.
keep it on the radar and hopefully soon because it's pretty amazing. Christian, I want to
Aw,
thank you for your time again.
thank you, man. I appreciate it so much. This has been a really great interview. I appreciate it.